Hello everybody, this is B Harper from supermarcy.com, and yes, this is yet another 32 Favourite Things video. Alright, so I'm just going to go right down to it. First thing off the list, pirates. I love pirates. I really have no other way to describe it. Look, I understand piracy was quite a different deal when it was actually happening. That is to say, the romanticism and the mythology and everything that has surrounded pirate history since has ultimately sort of lessened the impact of the crimes that these people committed. But at the same time, that's the best part about fantasy. You can take what you want from it and incorporate it into your own consciousness, and it makes life a little bit easier. I can tell you, nothing takes the edge of a really hard day when I imagine myself as a pirate captain. I'm just saying. Now, if I have any sort of inspirations, so to speak, obviously it would have to be Blackbeard, Edward Thatch. Edward Thatch was something. If you read up on him, you get to see he did all sorts of apparently wacky stuff. He apparently did these things, but history is written by the victors. So, unfortunately, Edward Thatch did not come out as a victor in his last battle. But look, pirates, so much fun when you were willing to put aside, some really nasty shit actually happened. Next, this is going to sound really strange and nursey, but I love skulls. Skulls, to me, are a brilliant part of human architecture. Granted, the human body is an amazing piece of biomechanics, but there is something special about the skull for me. It could just be the fact that it houses our brain. It protects our brain. It's sort of like it's battle armor. It's like a steel helm that you can put on and ride into battle with. Although it is not recommended if you go around and bash your head into poles. Trust me, I know. Right, archaeology. Now, this may be a surprise to you, but I do have a degree in archaeology, a bachelor's degree. And it's funny, in my third and final year, that was when we started to learn about the fun things, like the classical era, such as Greece, Rome, the Mayans, all of that wonderful stuff that we commonly associate with ancient culture and that sort of thing, from Indiana Jones and all that. But truth be told, there is a lot to say when you're learning about human history. It's fascinating to me because we all came, as far as I know, we all came from the same place in Africa, and we sort of spread out all over the world and just became who we are. And archaeology is a wonderful study of the worlds that our ancestors have created. Anthropology is more or less a study of the people themselves. Archaeology isn't necessarily about the people, it's about the world they lived in and the worlds they manipulated and created. But nonetheless, it really was fascinating to me that, Homo sapiens aren't the only ones that were on the planet at one point. We had our cousins, such as the Neanderthals. Neanderthals were sort of like humans. They, I think, were it not for a couple of evolutionary flaws, I think we may have all been Neanderthals, or at least descendants of Neanderthals. It's a very sort of multi-layered discipline, and it's one I'm definitely not going to go into here. But archaeology was, to me, extremely fascinating. And although I didn't really get the opportunity to exercise my knowledge in a professional field, I would never say no to go on a dig and look at all these amazing artifacts that they dig up and just try and speculate about what they were used for and who used them. It's incredible. Knowledge. This is a no-brainer, but here's a little strange snippet that I'm going to share. This is going to sound incredibly random, but here we go. When I was doing a project for archaeology, I had done all the research, and it wasn't a matter of me being ill-prepared in terms of having the information at the ready, but I was extremely tired. So an hour or so before I was due to go into class and make my presentation, I had one can of Red Bull, and it was like a nuclear weapon went off in my myocardium. It was like, oh shit. You see, I had no idea what Red Bull would do to me, and when I went into class, I was like, I was totally rip-roaringly ready to take this bitch on and just like make it mine. And I think it must have freaked out my teacher because of how aggressive and assertive I was being while I was talking, because I was basically doing this, using my hands and being all expressive while I was talking. And afterwards my teacher, pulled me aside and said, "Oh, B, are you feeling okay?" I said, "Yeah, why?" And she said, "Oh, no reason. You're not taking drugs, are you?" I was like, "No, I only had a can of Red Bull before I went to make my presentation." And she said, "Oh, did you have anything else?" And I was like, "No, I actually missed my breakfast." So she's like, "Oh, well, that explains it." But going back to knowledge, like, it's these little experiences that you obtain through life. It may not necessarily be enormously consequential, but life is life. You're gonna find things out that you never thought you would. You're going to react to things you never thought would happen to you. In my case, I had absolutely no conception about what Red Bull would do to me. So, it's these little moments. Goosebumps. Goosebumps was my door to horror, as I would imagine quite a few of you out there. If you're in my generation, you'll know Goosebumps was perhaps the bee's knees when you were in primary school. Eventually you would graduate to something like Fear Street or Christopher Pike, but Goosebumps opened the floodgates to all horror fans. My first book was The Werewolf of Fever Swamp, and I gotta tell you, when I read it, I didn't know what to make of it. I hadn't really read any werewolf books or sort of seen any werewolf movies, so I have R.L. Stine to thank for my first exposure to lycanthropy. It's these little things that happen in your life. In this case, R.L. Stine has been enormously influential to me in terms of my development and my growing love for horror. So yes, R.L. Stine, I thank you. And as do the rest of us. We love you. Mwah. Finally, strong characters. You might be curious to ask, say, "Oh, B, how come you don't say strong female characters?" Well, here's the thing. I am undoubtedly a feminist. I am not afraid to call myself that. I'm not one to say, "I'm no feminist, but," But when you get down to it, when you're making an intelligent movie with intelligent characters, you've got to make sure that they're strong. That's not just talking about the male or female. You can't be exclusive when you're talking about something like that. You've got to make sure that your characters, male or female, have a drive and a passion and some sort of solid morality in them. Well, obviously, that's not going to work for every single movie, for every single character. But I feel in the here and now that we are in a big dearth of having legitimately really great characters. I don't think it's impossible at all, and there's still quite a couple of them out there. But movies are strange things. Like, they will obsessively feed you all this ridiculous stuff as well as ridiculous characters. So you got to sort through them and find people in these movies that appeal to you, that aren't just there to be cannon fodder or eye candy or something to be laughed at or to be mocked. So yeah, you can, as long as you make them strong, it doesn't matter if they're male or female. So long as the audience can, say, "Oh, this person is really inspirational," or "This person could be who I could be." It's Hollywood. It's Hollywood. But look, there's no other way to put it. As long as you make your characters good, that's half of my investment into the movie. It's as simple as that. So yes, that was another one of my wonderfully stupid rambles. But yes, I am getting very close to the end of this series, so you will not have to suffer me that much longer. But in the meantime, please take care of yourselves and each other. Bye bye.